Samuel Schuff.
Thank you. Thank the honourable member for Hinckley and Bosworth for bringing this debate and for an excellent speech as well. And despite the fact that we represent different parties, and I believe he heckled me last time I spoke in the chamber, I think that there's a great deal of unity on this issue. And perhaps also this is a moment where men and boys and their needs are being recognised, and we need to seize this moment. I must declare an interest that I co-chair the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Men and Boys, alongside the honourable member for East Grinstead and Uckfield. I hope I got the constituency correct. And look, men and women are different. They're different by birth, by nature, but also by socialisation. Now, that's not to deny either that there are many different ways of being male and being female. Indeed, in my own home, I'm a man who is inclined to being emotional. I like musical theatre and baking, and I'm married to a wonderful woman who likes mechanics and rugby, and we have a happy and rich marriage. So I don't think we should stereotype men and women, but they are different, and we do have different socialisation. And gender inequality is real, and gender inequality hurts everyone differently. And it's wrong to ignore the gendered aspects of challenges that limit any human being from fulfilling their potential. It was wrong when society did this for far too long to women and girls. And it's wrong that we continue, I think, to ignore some of the gendered issues that affect men and boys. I represent a constituency in Bishop Auckland where I see boys who, for too often, have felt left behind. There is underachievement at every stage of education, there's a lack of emotional support, and there's a system that too often blames them rather than backs them. I was pleased to lead a debate last year in the House of Commons on education and the educational disadvantage, which keenly affects northern, particularly northeastern, working class boys. And in that debate, I made the point that you only have to go back as far as the 70s, and we saw that girls were underachieving in the education curriculum. And there was rightly a big public outcry around it, and there were specific gendered strategies developed, things like getting more girls into science and technology. That was the right thing to do. But today, we see girls are outperforming boys at every educational stage. The North East has got the lowest GCSE attainment nationally, and only 60% of boys are school-ready before they start early years, compared to 75% of girls. Boys go on to score half a grade lower on average at GCSE. They account for 70% of permanent exclusions and 95% of youth custody. Around 1 in 7 young men in the area that I represent are not in education, employment or training, which is nearly double the rate of young women. So structural inequality is meaning that working class boys start behind and stay behind. I'm also pleased that the government is making great strides in on its strategy for violence against women and girls. This is timely and important. Boys and men need to be a partner in that strategy, and that's also important. But as we're doing that, we mustn't lose sight of the fact that 2 million men every year are victims of sexual assault, domestic abuse or stalking, representing 37% of the victims of this type of behaviour. I was similarly pleased to see recently that on International Men's Day that the Secretary of State for Health launched a men's health strategy. It was urgent, and it's great that that's been brought forward. And I appreciate the comments made already in this debate on men's mental health, which is a particular challenge in my community. That's driven by issues such as loneliness, but also a common cause, and I see this in my surgeries all the time, is men being denied access to their children through no fault of their own, through no accusation of wrongdoing, simply not being able to enjoy a family life. That's children missing out on fathers and fathers missing out on the company of children. I will.
I'm particularly grateful to him for doing this, because this is an area of interest for me.
I've been a long-term supporter of Families Need Fathers, not necessarily Fathers for Justice, which pinged off out of that. But what I wanted to say was that the child arrangement, I tried to sort out exactly how many children are where judges actually allow for child arrangements orders to be given to fathers, and there is no data kept. And if we don't have data about how many children live with which parent, or where there are shared parental orders, which have to be, in my view, except in exceptional circumstances, they have to be the route forward. If we don't have the data, how can we possibly know what's happening?
No, I think she makes an excellent point. I think we need a whole separate debate on this issue, a much wider investigation. I also turn to online safety, which is also having its moment, and I'm really pleased that it is, because online safety is so important for our children. It's also important for adults, and I'm particularly concerned by violent pornography, which harms women and girls and harms men and boys. And it harms adults as much as it harms children. And it's something that I think we need to take much more seriously. I've listed a few areas: men's health, education, work, fatherhood, safety. These are all aspects of life which I do believe are gendered, which I think need a particular gendered approach. Now, I don't know whether the answer is a men's minister. I certainly would want to not set men and women up in competition with each other, because I think men and women are importantly equal partners with each other in addressing these challenges. But I certainly think that at very least government needs a men's champion to make sure that we mainstream these issues, as we have been doing for decades now. We've talked about gender mainstreaming, and gender mainstreaming has meant women and girls, but gender mainstreaming needs to also mean men and boys through different aspects of government, whether that's health, education, employment, family law. We need to look at this together for all our sakes. Thank you.